Shayna.
My name's Tony.
And I'm Lauren.
And today we'll be presenting about presentation skills in the occupational therapy field. So, for a minute, imagine you have this amazing idea. This idea will make your field better. In any way, right? It could be a new intervention. You could be changing an old intervention. You've spent a lot of time and effort on this idea. It's in your head, and maybe it's on paper, but how do you share it? This is a conference and event are one of the many places you can share these amazing ideas in the field of occupational therapy. We'll discuss this idea more later. So first, a little bit about us.
So my name is Lauren. I went to Cal State Dominguez Hills and I got my degree in psychology.
My name is Shayna. I went to Eastern Washington University. I got my bachelor's in psychology with a minor in anthropology.
My name is Tony Tran. I went to Cal State Long Beach. I majored in health science and community health. And we aren't the best presenters. We're still learning ourselves. But we're trying to apply our knowledge to you guys, help you guys out, and we help ourselves out also.
So to begin with, it's important to show an agenda at the beginning of your presentation. This helps the audience kind of understand what's to come and it's easy to follow. So we're going to start with why it's important, some presentation preparation, then we will talk about how to introduce yourself before we play a fun game. Then we're going to discuss the components of a presentation, talk about visuals, how your body language and your voice and pronunciation affects the audience. We'll have a quick summary before we play another fun game, and then we'll talk about how it relates to the OT field, and then we're going to have a short survey for you to complete at the very end. So why is this important? Why do you think it's important to have good presentation skills as a person? Does anybody want to think why it's important?
Jessica.
Yeah, I think it's especially important for us because when we go into the field as occupational therapists, we're going to have to teach our clients how to do certain things and get back to their prior level of functioning, so it's very important to have good teaching skills.
That's very good. It's a very important part about presenting. Yes, presenting yourself to your clients. In particular, as students, you present a lot in school, so it's important to have these skills we're going to talk about to help you in school, talk about presentations to your fellow classmates, and then also as a professional, in addition to presenting yourself to your client, you can present to other professionals in the healthcare field, or maybe if you want to advocate for OT, you can go to Capitol Hill and give a killer presentation. So first, preparation. You can create a checklist, maybe that's helpful, kind of have an outline of what you want to say, and then you can leave spaces throughout your outline to kind of give yourself room to write ideas. You have more ideas as you continue, but always start with a checklist of what you need to do. Think about these questions as you create your checklist, like what's the aim? Do you want to persuade people? Do you want to inform people? Do you want to change an idea? What is the objective of your presentation? And is it beneficial to the audience? Do they know the subject? You want to ask yourself these questions and then answer them also so that you can be prepared. Here are some other questions you'll want to ask yourself. Experienced presenters ask these questions and then they also answer them because when you are presenting, things will change, and so it's important to be able to adapt and improvise like on the spot. Next, this is the structure of a presentation. You have a beginning, a middle, and an end, or introduction, body, and conclusion. It's easiest for the audience to follow if you kind of have it in these different components. So, what do you include in the beginning? The beginning is the most important part of a presentation. It's when you establish a rapport with the audience, and you want to signal the beginning by saying things like, shall we begin? Or let's get down to business. You can even start with a joke or an alarming story. Like, did you know that more people are afraid of public speaking than they are of dying. So more people would rather be in the casket than up there giving the eulogy. But humor doesn't really apply to all situations, so you want to be particularly careful when you use humor in your presentation. You can get their attention by asking a question, like a rhetorical question, like, yesterday I forgot my mom's birthday. Has that ever happened to anyone? We're going to give you some tips about how to improve your memory. Like that. Let's see, what's next in the beginning? Greet the audience. Greet the audience by saying something like this. You can say, good morning, fellow classmates.
Hello.
To kind of get that rapport going. Introduce yourself to the audience. So this is important because it's important information so that people can identify you, but also so that you can establish your authority on the subject and allow the audience to see this information from your point of view. So maybe you're a researcher. Are you a student? Are you the director of something? Are you responsible for something? You know, give yourself some credit where credit's due. So this is a very important part of the presentation. Now we're going to play a game.
Yay!
This is the beach ball game. So we're going to toss around a beach ball, and there's a few questions on here. Wherever your thumb lands, you can answer that question, or if it's already been asked, answer another one if you want. But before you answer, can you please say your name so that you can kind of introduce yourself to the group? All right, Shayna.
Okay. Does anyone want it first before I just throw it out? Jessica? All right, I'm gonna here. You want it first?
We're going to
Okay.
There you go.
All right.
What was your favorite TV show as a kid? Oh, my name is Jasmine.
Okay. Hi, Jasmine.
Hi.
I don't know. I have a lot. Anything Disney Channel or Nickelodeon.
You have more than one, that's cool.
I think I like SpongeBob. I think I said that before.
That's a good
Yeah,
one.
that was my favorite one.
Nice. You can pass it to anyone else.
Yes.
Yeah.
Keep it.
Let's see.
Pass it.
What was your major in undergrad and why did you choose it? I'm Jessica. My major in undergrad was psychology, and I chose it because I had talked to a few OTs before applying to schools, and they said that they all majored in psychology, so I figured it would be a good way to go.
Me too. Thank you, Jessica.
Yeah.
What is your favorite food? And your name? Oh, I'm Kelly. I like strawberries.
Ooh, very healthy.
I got this. All right, I'm Ellie, and it says, what's your favorite breakfast food? I'm not really good at breakfast, but I do like to make like omelets in the mornings on weekends.
Ooh, fancy.
Yummy.
Thank you.
Go back, bro.
Let's see.
I am Mia. It says, what is your favorite book? I would say The Count of Monte Cristo.
Thank you, Mia.
I don't really know.
My name is Summer, and if you could meet any historical figure, who would it be?
It's a tough one.
Probably, probably Martin Luther King Jr.
Wait, who did you say?
Martin Luther King Jr.
Oh.
That's what.
Okay. Yeah, you can
My name's Brooke. Where's one place you'd love to travel? Iceland. I'm gonna go after graduation. Thank you.
All right.
Do you want to answer?
You want to answer?
Sure. Let's see. My name's Tony. What's your favorite band? I don't have a favorite band, but I like hip hop. I like, you know, alternative. I like slow. I like everything.
Okay, cool.
Depends on the mood. I like everything. All right.
Thank you. Thank you
Carry
everyone
on.
for participating. Now, back to our presentation. So, of course, you want to give the title and also introduce your subject. For example, the title of our presentation is Strange Perfume, and I'm going to speak about the underground world of animal perfumes, who's making it, and better yet, who's buying it. That's just an example. And then, why are you going to speak about this? So I have chosen to speak about this because no one understands it. Okay, these are some other questions you ask yourself. So you want to give an example or give an estimate of how long your presentation is going to take. So this gives the audience a good kind of, it's good for the audience to understand how long the presentation is so they can give their attention better. So, for example, we're going to speak about presentation skills for about an hour. And then you want to ask a question to the audience, maybe to get their attitude or knowledge on the subject. So, how do you guys feel about presenting?
Do you want to say?
Yeah, how do you feel about presenting?
I don't want to.
I know, it's kind of the most unpopular.
How'd you feel?
I hate it.
Oh, you
I
hate
get
it?
nervous.
Everyone hates it?
Yeah.
Oh, you know, everyone likes it!
I like it.
All right, that's good because you'll be doing it a lot.
That's good, because
Yeah.
next term you will present a lot of presentations.
Yeah. Oh, and also, if your presentation is a collaborative work, you want to also give the acknowledgments where they're due. So, for example, this is a collaborative work for all three of us, and so we all said our names at the beginning and gave a little introduction. So, it's important. Excuse me. So the main purpose of the speech is to have the audience understand and remember a certain amount of knowledge, right? So therefore you should have two purposes to your presentation. A general one and a specific one. The general purposes give an overview of what you're going to speak about, and then the specifics is what you want the audience to really take away from your presentation. And next up we got Tony.
Okay, so now I'm going to talk to you guys about outlining your main points, okay? So keep it simple, you know, just 2 or 3 main points. You don't want to overwhelm the audience with too many, just keep it clear and concise, okay? So we're going to go on to the next. So questions and comments from the audience. So be sure to let the audience know when questions are appropriate. So for example, I'm going to say, so if you guys have any questions, feel free to raise your hand. I'm going to be willing to answer them, okay? Or you can save it to the end. It's up to you guys. So if you feel unsure about something, raise your hand and ask a question. All right? Okay, so for example, yeah, I just give you an example of that. Always let the audience know when to ask questions. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the content of the PowerPoint. The body. So what type of information should you give in your speech? So all the information should support your purpose, and also, you want to limit the content. So you don't want to overwhelm again. Not too much. Time is essential. So always be sure to time yourself, have a plan, make sure the time is of the essence. Okay. Quantity. So how much information should you give? Clearly develop your ideas. Again, main points. Give it through examples. Examples are always good. Sequencing your ideas. So, for example, you organize your idea logically, chronologically, a problem to a solution. You always want to have some kind of organization sequence. Okay. So keep the audience attention. The beginning and the end is a very important part of the presentation. So most listeners retain information at the beginning and at the end. So make sure you come in with a boom, leave with a boom. Okay? So yeah, always try to retain the audience attention. So avoid reading directly from the PowerPoint. Some people stay here and they read word by word. Highlight the main points and come back to it and express it. Okay. All right. So linking ideas and making transitions. So I always try to transition from PowerPoint to PowerPoint, or even section to section. So you don't want to just all of a sudden, oh, here, now we're doing this. You want to try to transition it. Always, it goes back to sequencing, make it smooth, okay? So now we're going to talk about be clear and concrete, leads into that. So give an example. Use examples, rephrase things. So for example, some phrases you use for an example is, now let's take an example. All right. To illustrate this, an example can be found, for instance, you know, it's pretty general. All right, so rephrase. So, in other words, let me rephrase this. Another way to saying the same thing is, so I'm just gonna give you guys examples of each, okay? To summarize, so to sum it up, let's summarize by saying, this concludes my overview of, in conclusion, things like that. Emphasize, I know this is getting what is very significant is, I like to emphasize the fact that, and so, okay, so the conclusion. The conclusion is very important. Like I said, beginning and the end is when the audience usually, you know, focus. So the end of the talk should never come as a surprise. Always again transition into the end. The end of your talk should always include 4 parts. So, which is a brief reminder of what you try to give out to the audience, your main point. A short conclusion of, you know, wrap everything up, and thank the audience for listening. So always thank the audience for participating in your PowerPoint, okay? Open comments and discussions, so make sure everyone gets everything clear. Leave the audience with the knowledge that you want to apply to them. Again, summarize your speech at the end. Make sure the audience retain all the information at the points. And always end with a good conclusion and summarizing it. That's very important in future presentations. Okay. Okay, so more conclusion. So some examples would be, so I'd like to summarize this, sum this up by saying, these are the main points of the presentation. So also you can do recommendations and proposals. As a result, we suggest that you guys do this on your own, practice in your room, something like that, okay? All right, we're gonna move on to the next. Visuals. So you don't want a PowerPoint with no visuals. Obviously, you know, you want to integrate visual into your PowerPoints, right? So what are visuals? So graphs, charts, drawings, photos, images, videos. Everybody loves videos, right? So in the media use, so PowerPoint, Prezi, you know, things like that. Usually I think those are the main 2 that everybody, right? Okay, so handout or brochure is also very helpful. Have something physical for the audience to follow as they go along with your PowerPoint, okay? You know, key terms, brochure, things like that. Okay, so why use visuals? So visuals focus on the audience, it gets the audience attention, okay? Illustrates the points easier to understand, and you know, reinforce ideas. So, you know, memes are always good. We like memes. So memes are good. It gives audience a chance to visually look at something instead of, you know, it changes the whole, it uses all the senses. So everybody has different learning styles. Some are more visual, some more oral or auditory. So make sure that you touch all senses. So like, for example, physical, you know, use all your tactile senses. All right. So visuals save time. You know, videos are always good. It avoids, you know, you have to write on the board, things like that. Well, it's up to you, but you can write, things like that. It helps the speaker. And we're gonna go on to the next slide here.